Do you want to find out all about Shropshire's most notorious highwayman who was never captured and ran amok over this part of Shropshire? If you want to find out, keep watching Third Rate Content. Welcome back to Third Rate Content. Right over my shoulder there is all that remains of Myddle Castle, which was once the home of Humphrey Kineston, the subject of today's Third Rate Content. So buckle up and I'll see you out here. So Humphrey Kineston's father was the High Sheriff of Shropshire, and this would have been his country seat. But Humphrey was a wild man. He had gambling habit, drinking, and all the other trappings of a 15th century gent who'd gone awry a bit. But his wayward ways caught up with him because he inherited the castle, but his massive debts meant that he basically had squandered it. Yeah, this chimney stack is all that remains now. There was a bit more left in the 20th century, but that did collapse, I think, in the late 20th century. And this is all we've got left of this historic monument. But let's find out what happens next on the Humphrey Kineston story. Yeah, there is a bit of debate about the birth date of Humphrey Kineston. Some say he was born in 1474, while some say he was born in 1468. Of course, records back then weren't what they are now, and we'll probably never know the exact date of the infamous man's birth. Yeah, Humphrey Kineston was the first-born son from his father's second marriage, and his father being Sir Roger Kineston, as I said, the High Sheriff of Shropshire at that time. His second marriage to Elizabeth Grey. They were just here at Myddle Castle, at Myddle Church. Yeah, we will come back and do a full video on Myddle at some point in 2023, I do hope, because we're going to start covering Shropshire villages more frequently. But we won't be doing Myddle today. It's all about Humphrey Kineston. Yeah, when Sir Roger Kineston died, Humphrey inherited the castle. But like I said, with his wild lifestyle and debts, he soon was in a lot of trouble. And that might explain what happened next. Yeah, these walls are really ancient. But on a cold winter's day, much like today, Humphrey and his half-brother Thomas Kineston and another accomplice, Robert Hopton, were said to have attacked and killed a man from Stretton, one John Hughes. And this is why Humphrey became an outlaw and had to flee the castle and go into hiding. And let's go and find his hiding place right now. In Myddle Church, the foundations date back to pre-Norman. So there would have been something here on this ground in Humphrey's day. Yeah, Humphrey laid low here in Nescliffe, overlooking the North Wales road from Shrewsbury that led into Wales. He could have a good eye on it, and it was a really clandestine, hidden place. Let's go and have a look at it. Yeah, with the road from Shrewsbury to North Wales running that way, you can see why Humphrey, being a highwayman, would have selected this as a location to lay low. A good visible view, and to see who his next marks would be. So, like any good highwayman, I'm sure he already had intelligence of a high value target coming. It would have just been to be visually confirmed that they were present. Yeah, Humphrey was basically protected by the people of Nescliffe. He was fed, and his horse was fed, and not dobbed in, as they say in Australia, to the authorities. Obviously there was no police then, but there was still obviously agents of the law who would have been after him. So it's a good job he was in with the people around here. Though I get the feeling it would have gone both ways. Humphrey would have probably been sharing out his spoils from his robberies, and he did sort of develop a sort of Robin Hood reputation in Shropshire at that time. It is confirmed that Humphrey was married, Wild Humphrey was married 2 times, and it is thought he may have been married another time, and he had a total of up to 10 children. Yeah, Humphrey retreated to the wilds, and right behind me is the cave that he lived in with his horse Bezzlebub. Yeah, set into the red sandstone is this spacious cave, apparently, with room for Humphrey and his horse. And there's 2 rooms in there. So the horse must have been pretty nimble and agile to make it up these very thin and dangerous looking steps. The cave is not open to the public at present, and I would say that's due to health and safety concerns and the bats that are resident within. What he may have looked like. Of course, when you think of highwayman, I do anyway, I think of the classic 18th century, 19th century highwayman, you know, in the Georgian era and a bit before, with the masks and the pistols. Well, Humphrey was a good 150 years before the classic highwayman. He was in the days of Henry VIII. So pistols, although they were available, wouldn't have been quite as effective as they would have been for the later highwaymen. Yeah, this is just an artist's rendition of a handgun that would have been available around the time of Humphrey Kineston. Yeah, Humphrey was kind of like a sort of Robin Hood of his day, but being in between the eras of Robin Hood and Dick Turpin, so kind of right in between. But he was well thought of. Unless you were the person getting robbed by him, of course. I'm pretty sure they didn't think too highly of him. Yeah, it is known that Humphrey was pardoned for his crimes. We're not 100% sure why, but it is thought he may have been pardoned because he raised 100 men to fight in Europe for Henry VIII, and subsequently was pardoned for his crimes. Sounds plausible to me. Of course, the merchants that Henry would have spied from up here would have been carrying wool, you know, coming from Wales, to the drapers of Shrewsbury, or gold, or other precious things. Obviously, it's been shut off for safety reasons at the moment. You can't actually go into Kinestons Cave, but there is a Kineston actually carved up here somewhere, but it was carved quite a bit after the days of Humphrey Kineston, but it may well have been a descendant who did it. Yeah, there was an iron door here at some point, but it was removed, and it was thought to have been used at Shrewsbury Jail for a while, so legend has it. But yeah, Bezzlebub was said to have grazed in amiable neighbours' fields, obviously when he wasn't out on the highways with his master, and this is the nearest field, so you would have thought this is where Bezzlebub would have been grazing several hundred years ago. And just there is the Three Pigeons Pub, which we're going to go have a closer look at. Yeah, it would have only been like a 5-minute walk for old Humphrey or even a 2-minute ride on Bezzlebub to get down to the pub, to perhaps get a couple of pots of mead in. Yes, it was in this very pub, the Three Pigeons, that legend has it that the hero of our story, Humphrey Kineston, shot a man for the crime of sitting in his seat. He shot him, and as legend has it, he escaped up the chimney like Father Christmas in reverse. Yes, so this is the actual seat that the offending chap was sitting at when Humphrey came in, didn't like the look of it and shot him. That's the story. So the Three Pigeons pub dates back to 1405, this section and this section in here. So it'd been going a while when Humphrey committed the crime, allegedly. I'm gonna do one for third-rate content and sit on the actual chair. So I get bad dreams or a ghost comes in and shoots me. See what happens. Yeah, here at Montford Bridge was another of the infamous and kind of heroic acts of Humphrey Kineston. The authorities got word that Humphrey was up in Nescliffe somewhere and he would be returning from one of his raids on this road, which passed over the River Severn here at Montford Bridge, named after the bridge. Obviously the bridge would have been quite a bit different in them days. Bridge would have been basically wooden planks, and the sheriff and his men removed some of the planks from the bridge. But Bezzlebub, Humphrey's horse, simply leapt over the missing planks, and Humphrey continued on his way up the road to Nescliffe in his hideout. Yeah, this bridge column obviously predates the current bridge. Who knows if it was here in the time of Humphrey Kineston. On reflection, I don't think it was though. But yeah, that is quite a wide river to jump. Obviously a winter river today, sort of a bit flooded, but still it's a mighty jump by Bezzlebub. After being pardoned and as we said, possibly settling down again and remarrying for the third time, it's not 100% known where Humphrey died, but there is the legend that he returned to the cave when he got sick. Yeah, the legend says Humphrey was tended to in his final days when he was sickening with his illness by a beautiful woman who actually turned out to be his former wife Isabella, and her love for him overcame the way he had ill-treated her in the past when he was a bit of a rum lad, and she came back and tended to him in his final days. It's a very nice romantic story, but it's the end of Henry Kineston either way. So thank you for watching to the end of today's third-rate content. It's been a fun ramble all over parts of Shropshire, and a very interesting story about a very fascinating and notorious man. Whether he was Robin Hood or Dick Turpin, you decide. But thanks for watching to the end. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and by all means do comment. I do love a good comment. But if I don't see you soon, I'll see you 3 times as soon. Third-rate content, sign out. Bye-bye.